Episode 4 of Danmachi Season 5. What a great episode. My gosh, what an absolute surprise. My brain is spinning from a million directions. Like, I don't know what nice little plot twist there. Obviously, we knew this was coming. The assumption from the very beginning of this season was, okay, Seer has to be connected to Freya in some way. Is she a doppelganger? Is she a double? Is she a goddess? Is this all in Freya's head? But the thing that kept sticking in my head was that Otaro was in that room the moment that Seer made that request. So they have to be two individuals. They have to be separate. But the question was going to remain, how? Who was Seer? That was the massive question mark there. And so yeah, I kind of assumed at some point it might turn out to be that Seer is like directly connected to Freya in some way. But yes, that last scene... having that last scene where Seer's walking and suddenly turns into Freya and she's like, I tried to be that girl, but it didn't work. And there's like still a thing in my head where I'm kind of still wondering, but is Seer still existing? Like, is there a Seer somewhere? Maybe she got locked up and Freya took over her identity. Like, she took her over. Like, Seer came to her and said, let me try to date Belle. And she said, yeah, sure. And the moment that Seer goes away, lock her up. Or maybe sometime during the date, locked her up. And then Freya took over, taking that position. Like, she granted Seer the ability to try this, and then when she realized, hey, this might work, she might still Belle, she took over her place, locked up Seer or something like that. And at some time later, we're actually going to get a moment where Belle finds Seer, and she's locked up somewhere, and Freya had her locked up the whole time. She just took her place. But no. It all starts clicking the moment I start kind of thinking back. That's what I love about this. It's one of those stories where the more you think back of each scene, you start to kind of puzzle it all together. Now, the sad thing is I'm not entirely sure who was when, where, whatnot, because I'm hoping they'll explain this stuff later on, that I'm not just completely confused here. But the moment I started thinking back, that's where everything starts to click, but I don't know exactly for sure. That yes, Horn was confronted, and Horn tried to kill Belle. And then we reveal there that, yes, she basically took upon herself the psyche and everything of Freya. That's the key thing there. She says that you don't understand because the moment that I took her appearance, I took in everything of her. And thus I had the knowledge of how much she was obsessed with Belle. That it was love at first sight, and that she's going to ruin this goddess. And then I think back to the point where Seer came before Freya. That was Horn. That it all clicks there. I go back there, I check that scene again, and sure enough, it says, I'm surprised that you're here. This is Freya talking. I'm surprised that you're here in that form. Back then, the question mark was that maybe it's just how she's dressed. And that she was coming before this goddess with a proposal. That there was something different about her. But no, that form was her saying, Horn, you're taking the appearance of Seer, which is me, to come before me and ask me something, which would imply that normally Horn would come to Freya as herself, not as Seer. But no, she's coming here as Seer to say, grant me a date. Let me do this. And she granted her permission. I'm going to go with this competition. I'm going to let you. But as soon as he finds out the truth about you, it ends immediately. The truth would probably be the idea that you're fake. And that's kind of shown in this episode. But anyways, so the way that I'm playing this out, and this is the question mark, Seer has always been Freya. There's no Seer. She doesn't exist. Seer was a way for Freya to get close to Belle without anybody knowing. Question mark's going to remain is why does she go this route? Why not just go to Belle? There's gods and goddesses all around the city. Why not Freya going down there? Is it because everybody doesn't like the idea of Freya, who could possibly charm people, being anywhere near Belle, and it would cause a problem there? Is there a rule against their relationships? I don't think they've ever implied the idea that a goddess cannot fall in love. I mean, Belle, I forget. I know that Belle's father was a god, but I don't remember if they implied his mother. But anyways, it exists. Is there a rule against it? Is Belle an example why they don't do it anymore? But anyways, the question mark is, okay, so they're implying here that Seer has always been an implant, a fake, basically. And the question obviously is Freya, but is it also Horn? This entire time, before this season, who has it been? Has it been Freya hanging out there? Has it always been Horn hanging out there? My assumption is that it's both. Like they take turns or something like that. And since Horn can take in herself the psyche of Freya, she's able to play the part. She just messed up in this episode. She made one mistake here because she didn't know about that emblem. Maybe it's only certain times when she transforms. Maybe she refreshed that memory back here, but didn't refresh it after they got that, that night together. Yeah, that's the question mark. And then at some point, obviously, Horn realized that Belle was a threat to her goddess, corrupting her goddess, going to make her worse, going to mess her up. Everything's breaking because of this Belle, because she's been taking upon herself the memories of Freya, and so she wants to stop it. That would explain why she goes before Freya, says, let me do this. Let me do this. Question is, why did Freya do that? Why did Freya allow it? My assumption is that she did care for Horn, and she wanted to grant Horn this. No, acknowledging the fact that Horn's probably taken upon herself all these thoughts. She understands her. Yeah, I love him too. And she's taken upon herself all these thoughts of how much I love him, so it's obviously going to affect her too. Giving her that chance. It could also be a thing that, okay, if Horn can pull this off and get Belle to love Seer, which is me, I'll do this. This is perfect. Yeah, go ahead. But if you mess up, it's over. And then past that point, yes, Horn goes to the mansion, gives the invitation, and right there, she's showing that hatred for Belle because she's herself and realizing, yes, this is the thing that's ruining my goddess, and I'm going to take upon myself the appearance of Seer so I can put a stop to all this. Now, again, the question mark is the assumption that the entire date was Horn, but I almost have a feeling like the entire date was Freya. But that would explain why things sort of change, that they're a little bit different, that Seer is acting different the entire date. She's acting like Seer, but she's also a little bit more goofy. And she also, again, wants to be released from these shackles. That's the question mark. Again, the confusing part about all this, and again, I'm hoping that it's all explained in the next episode. When was it Freya and when was it Horn? This entire time talking about these shackles and wanting to get away from everybody and all this kind of stuff. Is it Horn trapped by the shackles of the love and desire for Belle? Because again, she says that when they all confront her. When the Familia confront her, she tells them, you guys don't understand. I took in all this. That's what maybe was jumbling up her mind. It's getting into the psyche of somebody who essentially becomes somebody else and is overwhelmed by those emotions. Overwhelmed by Freya's love for Belle. And it makes her want to love Belle. But at the same time, she doesn't like Belle. She wants to kill Belle. But at the same time, she loves Belle. It's fascinating. It really is fascinating. And it's one of those cases where, again, because it doesn't specify when and where, it does make you kind of wonder, am I getting it wrong? Is the thing there. My assumption is that the date itself should have been Freya. Because what happens during the date? They have fun. They go back to that hotel. They stay there the night. And what happens during it? Seer makes her move. She makes her move. Like, she goes, the legs showing, the thighs showing, she's trying to show it off. Oh, yeah, those they're too baggy. I couldn't wear them. They kept slipping off. Whoopsie. Comes over there, sits down, gets on top of him. He pushes her away. And what happens? She tries to control him, tries to charm him. I don't think Horn has that ability. Unless if Horn takes the appearance of Freya, she gains her abilities. I doubt that. That would be insanely OP. It makes me believe that was Freya. But it's supposed to be Horn, because she's supposed to have the date with him. So maybe at some point during the date, maybe when they fell in the water, maybe at some point there was a switch, there was a flip where Freya took over. Maybe when they were in the shower, that's when Freya comes sneaking in there and says, get out. Get out, I'm taking over from here. Good job, I'm taking over from here. Somebody comes in, snatch her, take her out of there. Because again, at some point when they're sitting there, she tries to charm him. But that could be why it didn't work. Maybe Freya, maybe because she was taking on that appearance of Freya as Seer, she had the appearance like she can charm, or at least that semblance there, and that's why it didn't work. Because Horn, as Freya, can't charm Belle. That's why it didn't work. Again, when and who? That's the question mark, is when and who. But anyways, what it implies here is that, yes, this is always... I almost want to feel like this entire thing has been Freya, and it was just Horn at the very end that tries to take him out, because, again, she doesn't recognize the emblem. This little trinket that he bought her, she doesn't recognize it. That's where she messes up. Or it could have been, again, at some point during the date, there was a flip. That's my assumption there. And I think it was probably around the time they went to that inn. That was when the flip happened. And then it was Freya. And at that point, Horn didn't know about the emblem. I don't know. No, she would have known about it because they got the emblem before then. This is great. I love this. I love this stuff. I love this stuff where my brain is trying to connect everything. But yeah, the whole after scene there, confronting them, figuring out that it's Horn, having them get attacked. There was a side of me that during this whole attack, this is where it's really cool as well. Everybody attacking Seer. And again, my assumption at this point was that they were trying to take down Seer, who was not Freya at this time, because she was overstepping her bounds. Because that was a question mark. Like, why do they suddenly want to kill Seer? Did they see that she used the charm, and that was the thing that was revealing it, and thus they want to take her down? Like, that's it. You're done? Like, they're all trying to kill him. Everybody's trying to stop these guys. They're literally trying to kill Seer. Why? Why would Freya allow this? It seems like Seer is important to Freya. Why would they do this? And so when it's finally revealed that, yes, this is actually Horn, and she was trying to kill Belle, and that's obviously no-go, it all started clicking at that point. Okay, now we're revealing that this is actually Horn. That Horn is taking the appearance of Seer, and she's doing this stuff, and they all will come take her down. The question mark's going to be, do they actually kill her? They say they're there to kill her. They're there to take her out. So my assumption is that Horn's done. Like, I don't know. They didn't show the killing blow. Maybe the assumption there, maybe they just didn't want to show it, but the assumption there is that Horn's dead. But we'll see. But again, I love that scene where they finally reveal that because, again, it starts getting to Horn's head. You guys don't realize what I'm going through right here. I feel everything that she's going through, and I wanted to put a stop to it. She wanted to put a stop to it. She wanted to save her goddess, save her from this shackles of Belle, who's going to ruin her. I don't like this. I see how obsessed she is with this. I know this is a bad route for her to go to. She's a perfect goddess. I'm doing this for her. I'm making the sacrifice for her. I've chosen to accept my fate. The moment I decided that I was going to take this from her, I just wanted her to be free from Belle. Very interesting. The cool thing here is that it not only shows like this really messed up state that Horn has been in, which makes it a really tragic story. Like, I feel really bad for Horn. Like, this kind of sucks. And yeah, it also sucks the idea that she's willing to take something that Freya, loves so much away from her. But at the same time, it sucks to see that mixture in her brain, how messed up it's kind of made her, how by taking people's appearances, how much it messes with somebody's mind to take somebody else's psyche into you. Anyhow, yeah, that's the following scene where it looks like all signs point to this is Freya, for sure. Freya confronting Belle one last time. I can't not do this. I mean, even earlier it was mentioned the idea of, I can't be like the others. I want to try this. I don't care what everybody else says. I don't care about all this other stuff. I have to try this. I love you. Let's be together, please. And then Belle, weighted down by that burden of having to tell somebody no. When somebody gives you all of their love, how hard it is for having to turn that away. That, sadly, again, like I mentioned previously, sorry, Seer. Belle's got so many options, and you're definitely not on that list. Finally saying no. And then, yes, of course, the rain has to fall. And then we get the shot of Freya transforming back. I tried it. I tried to be this girl. Didn't work out. Going for plan A, basically. This was the other option. Let's just go with the original option. And again, I think that really is Horn essentially brought to Freya that option. Okay, let's try it. I mean, Horn wants to do this. Let's try it. Let's try this competition. Let's try to see if this works. If it doesn't, we'll go back to the original plan. We'll just do it the easy way. We're just going to kidnap him. Freya at this point is choosing, I'm just going to kidnap him, which obviously is probably going to turn into an absolute war. It seems like starting next episode, we're just going to go on a full-out war. The whole entire Freya Familia is going to be going after Belle, which is crazy. I'm really curious how that's all going to play out. Anyways, that's just Freya. Freya and Horn and Seer. Again, I'm still kind of wondering if there is a real Seer. At this point, I'm pretty much 90% positive at this point. There's no Seer. There was never a Seer. It's always been Horn and Freya taking turns. Whenever Freya's up in her tower, Horn is taking that position, being Seer, which really does suck at this point because, gosh dang, again, this keeps going. It keeps going. It sucks to think about how much Ryu and everybody loved Seer. Like, they all came there to protect Seer. When Horn was Seer and everybody was coming in there from the Familia to take down Horn, everybody came there to protect Seer. They've been doing it the entire season. Everybody cherishes, loves, and wants to protect Seer. And now we're establishing at this point, like I said, 90% sure there was never a Seer. And that everybody's been protecting essentially a fake, a phony. What does that make you feel like? Like, how crazy of a thought process that is. Like, I can imagine, like, going forward, that reveal coming to everybody is going to be pretty heartbreaking. Like, they want to... Is just giving up the idea that there was ever a Seer? Is it them passing that on to Freya? I doubt that. I doubt they're going to see Freya as that. The other question mark is possibly could it turn into, if they don't kill Horn, that Horn becomes Seer permanently? I don't know. That's a curious question mark. We've basically, at this point in this episode, deleted a character. Like, it's almost like they just killed off a character. Killed off one of the main cast because they never existed. Again, if there's not a real Seer somewhere locked up and Freya and Horn has just been taking her place in order to see if they can bag Belle through Seer's persona. It's a question mark. Again, I'm pretty sure there was never a Seer. I'm going to go with 95%. It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm very curious how they're going to play that out. And again, if we're going to possibly get a full perspective of when it was Seer, or when it was Horn, and when it was Freya. That's a good question mark there. I mean, the other thing that kind of cements it that Seer never existed was Freya specifically says, I'm finished being the girl. Seer is dead. So we did get a brief moment of Anya and her brother. I don't know if they've ever revealed before that was her brother. It did kind of put a lot of emphasis on the idea of Anya being a past warrior, a past powerhouse, basically, which kind of is the case with all the girls at that cafe. It really does feel like all of them are secretly like some really powerful warrior of the past. Like Ryu is like extremely powerful and was from this other party and just kind of was brought in there. Seer again is technically Freya. They don't know that, but they're technically Freya. And now you have this girl, Anya. It seems to imply that she used to be something special. Like she was a powerful warrior. Her brother's pretty much implying the idea that she's become this stupid person. Like, stop being this clown or something like that. It's basically the way she was talking. She kept doing the nya-nya-nya-nya-nyas, and he's like, stop talking like a clown. If you noticed, I don't think he ever speaks with that nya kind of thing going on, that little speech, kitty cat type of speech pattern. So it kind of implies that he's sort of seeing her as a clown, that she's weak. Everybody else is calling her by this other name, and she's like, no, I'm Anya. So I'm kind of curious if that will turn into something, if she's actually some incredible warrior, and maybe she's just been kind of locking it up. And that maybe at this point, with everything happening, maybe she'll actually unlock it. And we'll see her in like this really powerful form. She gets serious. She basically gets serious. I'd love to see that. She's great, though. Was kind of dumb seeing Ryu get overtaken by this dude. I mean, I don't know exactly what his level was, or at least their comparison of level, but it's like, Ryu? Really? Like, as much as we've kind of upplayed Ryu and her strength and her power and everything, why is she just getting, like, just bodied so easily? I guess they're just trying to show how powerful the Freya Familia is, which, again, this higher council of them, yes, they're really high level, everything. I just don't know what the comparison is to two of them, and it just really feels like it downplays Ryu. We got a brief scene of Hestia and Hermes that was absolutely dorky, and again, Hermes really kind of pointing out the idea of sort of seeing that difficulty there. Hestia at that point acknowledging, yeah, could she be another goddess? Which again, I was totally expecting the thing that was going to reveal everything was going to be Hestia. But if you guys have been following my impressions video for a while now, I've been constantly feeling like it was going to be Hestia. The moment that Hestia seen Seer, she was going to immediately know it was Freya. Or basically know if she was another goddess that she recognized or something like that they're trying to keep, hidden. But nope, that didn't turn out. I did make a note of something that's kind of funny looking back on. I have in my notes that, yes, they pointed out that Horn, as Seer, was ensnaring Otaro. And it was kind of funny to kind of think back on that now, because at the time when that happened, I thought it was strictly Horn herself. They thought that she was messing with Otaro. But no, looking back on it now, no, it was simply Otaro was working for Freya because he knew about this competition. He was helping Seer, who was Horn, because that's what Freya wanted. And everybody else in the Familia, not knowing what they were doing here, all thought that she ensnared him. But no, it was just simply that he was doing Freya's bidding. It's kind of interesting. I had a great scene with Welf. I'm glad to finally have somebody that's kind of able to go to Belle and say, Belle, just tell her. Like, stop dragging this crap out, boy. She's obviously in love with you. Make it clear. Stop stringing her along. You should have never gone on this date to begin with, honestly. In my opinion, he should have not gone on this date to begin with. But at this point, make your feelings obvious. You're obviously dragging her along. Well, thank you. Thank you, dude. Thank you, bro. These annoying harem protagonists sometimes can be so freaking frustrating. Another note that I made was the whole conversation in the bed. I am really curious about this because, again, if this is Freya at that moment in the bed, which I'm kind of thinking it is because she had the charm ability, but I'm also thinking it might have been Horn because she wasn't able to charm Belle. But again, it could just be that Belle has this blood in him that's going to prevent it from happening. I think they may have implied that before, but either way, if this was Freya in the bed with Belle, was it just lip service talking about Ryu? It's a good question mark. Because again, Freya / Horn as Seer has been spending a lot of time with Ryu and all them. This is their friend. Even at that one point, Seer went to, whichever one it was, Seer went to Ryu before the date to ask permission from Ryu. It's obvious that they're friends with Ryu. And again, that goes back to the whole idea of what's going to happen when everybody realized that Seer possibly never existed to begin with. What is everybody's feelings on Freya basically taking that slot? Is, at this point, does Ryu pass that on to Freya? That Freya is my friend. Does Freya think of Ryu as a friend? Again, this is all very interesting question marks at this point. Does this carry over, or does it never exist? Does Seer as a person just get deleted from existence? Was this conversation where she's talking about how, Ryu is my friend, what'd you do to her? Did you do any naughty things to her? All that kind of stuff. I can't be like them. Was it all lip service? Was it all just to gain Belle's trust, to manipulate him? Again, a lot of stuff that I'm really hoping they properly explain, or is this a lot of stuff that maybe possibly it's adapted good to the anime, but it doesn't get the full context? Like, does the novel give us a better picture of it? Does it give a full perspective chapter of Freya and everything that she has done as Seer? Anyways, I think that's everything. What an episode. I never thought I would speak this long about an episode of Danmachi, but again, this sort of is what was built up this entire time, is finally to flip this. And it's more interesting to have it be a character that's been around for a long time. Seer has been around for a long time, and now to finally give that question mark of was she ever really a thing? Was she ever her own identity? Is the big kind of twist to this whole thing, which is very, very interesting. And again, I kind of wonder if there is an element of part of Seer being its own identity that Freya created, possibly just a orphan or something that was brought in. She took her persona, whatever, and so there is a bit that is Seer herself, or if it's always been 100% Freya. The assumption is that it's always been 100% Freya because in taking upon herself the form of Seer, Horn brings into upon herself all the thoughts of Freya. And that's what makes me also believe that Seer never existed, is that when Horn takes the appearance of Seer, not Freya, the appearance of Seer, she takes upon herself the psyche and memories and everything of Freya. Thus, Seer never existed. She was always taking herself the appearance of Freya, just calling herself Seer. Really crazy stuff. Anyways, I gotta stop. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed my ramblings of this episode of Danmachi. If you did, hit that like button down below. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of this episode. If you are a novel reader, please don't leave any spoilers of future context or whatever in the comment section. I'm going to say probably anything that might possibly have been skipped to answer it. Wait on that stuff because, again, if there's this vagueness here, I'm hoping will get resolved in the coming episodes. If it doesn't, we'll come back to this. Anyways, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe before you leave. If you like this content and you want to support John more, I have links in the description below. Greatly appreciate it. Until next time, y'all take care.